Hello, in this video we're going to be comparing the Dtorque 50 with other outboard engines. My name is Joy Gianaros and I'm Head of Learning and Development for Neander Marine and incredibly pleased to be joined by Pedro Almeida. Pedro is the Chief Commercial Officer for Neander and has over 20 years experience in the marine industry and managing after sales teams. So hi Pedro, thank you for being here.
Hi, Joy. Thank you.
Right, let's get started. So here I can see advantages of a gasoline outboard. Why is it then, in fact, that Neander chose to use diesel when outboards are usually gasoline?
So the answer is quite simple. When you compare a gasoline outboard to any inboard, you have a series of advantages that makes the gasoline outboard more appealing. So normally they're cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
normally they are lighter and more versatile, and they are easy to install, easy to maintain, and they normally allow to have more space inboard. So when you have a diesel inboard, especially being diesel,
Mm-hmm.
you normally have less consumption. They are normally more
Mm-hmm.
durable, and because you're using diesel, they're safer. So
Mm-hmm.
if you combine these two into one diesel um, outboard, it's really easy to understand that you basically have the best of both worlds.
Nice. So here we can see the Dtorque 50 is being compared with the Suzuki, Yanmar, Yamaha and Mercury C Pro, and the others have a single crankshaft, whereas the Dtorque utilizes a dual crankshaft. Why is it that it was designed in this way then?
So the two key innovations of the Neander Dtorque are the dual crankshaft and the revolutionary spaceball design. And when you have a normal diesel engine, uh, you normally produce more vibrations and noise when compared to a gasoline engine. And by adopting these two innovations, it really eliminates almost all vibrations and oscillations that you would feel on the diesel architecture. So that allows that reduces the noise, the vibration, and it's much smoother and a much better experience for the client.
Yeah, much more comfortable experience, it sounds like. Thank you.
Exactly.
Let's look at the consumption next. So looking at consumption here, I can see we're comparing the Dtorque with the same engines as before. What can you tell us about the difference in the levels of consumption?
So as you can see on this slide, being diesel allows a significant saving in terms of fuel consumption. However, if you compare with a petrol outboard, and we here are comparing not with a 50 horsepower gasoline outboard, we're comparing with a much higher power engine, mainly because the, the the torque that the D-Torque is delivering is equivalent to a 70 horsepower gasoline engine. So here we can see that we at all ranges of speed we're talking about savings around 40% on fuel. Like,
Significant savings
exactly,
there for the user.
exactly.
Great, thank you. Let's look at the sensors next. So here we're looking at the Dtorque 50 in comparison with the same engines as before, but focusing on the water in fuel and water pressure sensors. What can you tell us here, Pedro?
So when water is left on diesel for too long, you will get bacteria and microorganisms growing, in this moisty environment. And these type of bacteria will create a layer that clogs filter if it's in a high,
All right.
if the water level gets too high. So by adopting this sensor on all versions of our of our engine, this will prevent that from happening by sending an alarm into the screen. So therefore, the client will know that he needs to drain the water from the filter.
Right, great, and preventing damage to the entire fuel system, I presume.
Exactly, and which normally are super expensive.
Uh-huh.
So in terms of the water pressure sensor, and again, we decided to adopt this sensor mainly to prevent the engine from overheating. So this sensor, in conjunction with ECU, they monitor constantly the water flow and warns the user when the water flow runs short. Therefore, it prevents the engine from overheating and, again, expensive repairs.
Yeah, very important. Thank you. Let's look at maintenance now. So once again, comparing the Dtorque 50 with the same engines as before, the equivalent gasoline outboards, and looking at the maintenance here, and we can see there is a reduced maintenance interval where the Dtorque needs a maintenance every 250 hours in comparison to the majority of the others who require a maintenance every 100 hours. So why is this important for the customer, Pedro?
So the obvious advantages are economical and also on the downtime. So you can imagine by having just 5 maintenances performed over a period of a thousand hours compared to 11 on a gasoline engine, you will have less downtime, less times to stop, to take the boat out of the water, to make the maintenance. So that brings enormous advantages in terms of economical advantage to the user. And this is only possible because the Dtorque has been designed to be complying with the light commercial duty use. That means all the components are more robust, all the components are better lubricated than a gasoline counterparty.
Okay, really, really important point there. Thank you. Right, let's move on to the last bit of information. And lastly, we're looking at a performance comparison here between the Zodiac Build Pro and the Zodiac Bay Runner. So two boats made by the same manufacturer and the same length, but one is running the Dtorque and the other is running the Yamaha 60 horsepower. So what can you tell us about the comparisons between these two, Pedro?
So we have chose these two vessels because they are made by the same manufacturer. They have the same length and approximately the same weight. So that can give us a good example and ultimately show the advantages of the Neander Dtorque in terms of fuel economy. So I have highlighted here two speed ranges. One that should be more or less the same, the low cruising speed, and the other one the high cruising speed. So starting with the low cruising speed, you can see a huge difference, more than 50% advantage on the fuel consumption towards the Neander Dtorque. If you go a little bit faster, around 26 miles per hour, the advantage it's not so big, but it's still significant. It's around 40-45%, and that shows with similar boats with similar speeds, the Neander Dtorque is significantly cheaper to run when compared to a petrol outboard.
Great, thank you so much, Pedro. And thank you for talking us through these main comparative points between the Dtorque and other outboards. Thank you, it's much appreciated.
Thank you, Joy.